but it took somebody on the other side of the planet to connect us. Isn't that bizarre?
It is very interesting.
It is. So hang on just a second. I also want to say good morning to Jeff. Jeff hails from Canada. Good to see you.
Hi,
How's it
Janine.
going?
Good. I feel like I missed the joke. You're laughing mood already this morning. So
I
nice to
know.
see you.
Well, you know me, I laugh easy anyway. That's why comics love me. They sit me right in the front row because I'm losing my mind. And, you know, everybody else says, well, wasn't that funny, Janine? I'm like, it's hysterical. Let me get the Kleenex. Anyway,
Excellent.
yeah. So at some point, I'm going to introduce you to Kendra, and then we can chat a little bit more. Mateo, good morning.
Hi, how are you, Janine?
I am
I
doing
haven't talked to
very.
you for 1+ years.
I
I thought I'd say hi.
I'm glad that you did. And this is come when you can, leave when you have to type of thing. We just do that so that I've got 588 students on my online courses. And so this is a way that we can have them pop in really quick. They come in, they ask a question, pop out, or people like yourself who haven't talked to me in a year, and people like Kendra who live like right across like 5 blocks away from me, but it took somebody in Australia to get us together, or wherever Michael is. I'm playing, but
He's in
I'm playing.
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Oh, well, might as well be the other side of the planet as far as Colorado. No, I'm joking. But Mateo, what's going on in your world? What can I do for you?
No, I dropped in to say thank you for taking the time last year and talking to me. And a few different things moved around since last year. A lot has happened, but just wanted to say hi. I want to say
I'm
thanks.
glad. I'm glad that you're saying hi, and you're more than welcome. And do you mind refreshing my memory on what it is that we talked about that was helpful for you?
Yes. Well, I think it was just you taking the time and sharing your insight. That's helpful. Not you. It doesn't happen often where people are so busy that you don't get a chance, and sometimes you just who are you going to match with in terms of conversation. So the only place you can get some insight is online material, which can take a while to sift through. So that was what was most helpful. But if you remember, we were talking about how I had applied to a lot of jobs at the time. I think I was 2.5 years in trying to get a job in my field, which happens to be a little tough in finance. And ever since then, I think literally maybe 2-3 weeks after we talked, I got an offer from a startup in New York, and I ended up moving to Connecticut. And then that sort of ended, and then now I'm working for Wood Mackenzie for energy renewables. They're a consultant, so which I'm happy. I love it. So,
oh, congratulations!
But I wanted to say hi in good times and bad times. Not that there were bad times, but times that are not beneficial sometimes.
Right. Well, and you struggle a little bit, right? I mean, it's not like it's all easy roses, peaches and cream kind of stuff going on. But is there anything I could do for you today as you enjoy your abundant life?
No, if anything I can do for you, I'd be happy to help.
Okay.
Or anyone else, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the things I'm looking for are authors. I'm running a project called the 99 Author Project, and I can put the link into the chat for anyone who might be interested. Hang on just a second. Let me grab it real fast. I have the link. Starting in August, these things are getting large enough for me now that I'll have my assistant who will be doing this, dropping stuff into the chat to help people. But this is what we're working on. And I charge $299 for people to be a part of this book. But then we're also blasting them out on our 2 radio stations and our 42 internet-based platforms from our radio show. So they're getting quite a bit of exposure. And then we'll have a summit afterwards in 2023, September. And so any author that you encourage to join this process, they may go, what, $299? Just realize they're getting an awful lot of promotion from me. But what I need from them is their marketing stories. I want to know the story behind their story, the story behind the book that they wrote. And so I'm lucky that I have Kendra here with us today because she's Michael Whitehouse's executive assistant. Thank heavens he has one. And what was really lovely was it was his idea that got me started on these open coffees because I was running out of time, literally, and I was struggling to actually have time to be able to do all the one-to-ones. So I opened up 5 hours of my week last week. This week I opened up 11 hours. So anybody who helps me with that. So if you want, reach out to Kendra, see if you can find out when you can meet up with Michael, because he's the one that's the guy that knows a guy. That's the name of his book. And he's going to be with us on the 99 authors.
To be specific,
Anyway.
it's the guy who knows a guy, and I actually edited the second edition of that book.
Yeah. And so he is a professional networker, much like Jeff. And he and Jeff have a lot in common. Jeff is the one that if you need anything to do with financial anything, and he's broadened out since then, but when I met him, Jeff presented like this little guy that was, I'm just a CPA up in Canada. And yet he had this massive network of people. I'm like, oh, that's bogus. And then he goes out and he writes like 4 or 5 books in 4 months or 8 books. Yeah, it was 15, something like that. It was a number that I try not to exaggerate on. And then he's like, so Janine, maybe I can be on your program. I'm like, yeah, why don't you sign up, Jeff? No problem. So, that's the type of thing. And then speaking of books, Melody, introduce yourself and let us know more about you because you're right there with the rest of us. Pete will be with you in just a sec.
Hi, Janine. I thought
Good to
I'd
see
drop in and say hi today. I'm the founder of Author Nation. So we help people go from idea to published nonfiction book, successful nonfiction author. It's a community. So we offer resources and writing sessions and accountability calls and a whole bunch of fun stuff.
And Melody was kind enough to have me on her Author Nation, and she was just getting the ball rolling. She was just starting. She was very nervous. She didn't know if I would bring the value that she was hoping I would bring, because when you're in the podcasting world, I totally get it. You never quite know what bowl of nuts you're going to get when you put the call out to have guests. So thank you for taking a chance on me. I appreciate it.
And my show is live too. And so whatever happens, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I've had some interesting things happen.
All of us in the broadcast industry totally understand, and we appreciate what you do as a live podcaster. There's reasons why Janine records everything. Yeah. So you have courage. So thank you so much. Yeah. Anyway, so anybody that is an author that is looking to get on a live podcast, you want to kind of stretch your muscles, definitely make sure that you take my Media Kit course so you make Melody's life much, much easier. When she gets ready to go live, she has biography for you that's an introduction that she can say without having to spell out alphabet soup behind your name, which is a lot of times what happens with bios. Anyway, good morning, Pete. You came on next. Talk to us, my friend. Great to see you up and buzzing around.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. I'm always learning so much when I hang out with you and my other friend up in the chat there, Jeff.
Yeah, if it hadn't been for Jeff, you and I would never have connected. Yeah. So thank you, Jeff, for that. True. Shout out to the introduction.
So true. So from a guy that failed English in high school with dyslexia, I wrote a book on reputation, really with Jeff's expertise. So now we focus on people that have bringing in their ideal clients by writing a key book that focuses on their strategic partners. And now we're just adding a tad to it, the reputation part. So if people are curious about TikTok, maybe they want to find out more how it can be used in a reputation standpoint. So I'm just excited to learn and grow.
Yep. And Pete is one of those people who's very good with follow-up. So if he says he's going to do something, he will do it. The only time I have ever known him to drop the ball was due to the fact that he was incapacitated physically. And so, I'm like, oh, you get a pass, dude, you get a pass. But otherwise the man is on it. So thank you, Pete. And then James, Mr. Cybersecurity. I know you got a mouthful, but this is my superpower. I call on people right as they stuff their mouth full of food. If you'll unmute yourself and introduce yourself, we'd love to chat with you.
Hi, so I'm M. James. I guess I'm an author, but also a teacher. And, it's been amazing how many things happen, good things happen when you kind of are waiting for things to happen. And then they actually happen. So I teach cybersecurity. I actually have 5 classes that I'm working on, and I've written 3 books on cybersecurity, cybersecurity project management. I'm actually teaching that class right now in the evenings. And then I have another book. It's called Cybersecurity and Drone Technology. But that's just a little bit about me, working on building a 5-class STEM program to actually implement into some of the rural schools. And actually, I'm a Coloradoan. I'm from Colorado. And actually, that's where I'm at right now. And in actually the neighborhood, actually wheat country where I grew up, to try to help some of the schools out here implement cybersecurity programs and STEM programs into their high schools. So that's me.
Well, yeah, thank you. And I saw your order come through for the book, Author Podcasting, that I wrote. I saw the order come through. And unfortunately, I don't know if other authors have had this struggle, but when I batch order like 20 and 40 books, it's taking inordinate times from KDP to come through. So I'm glad to see the shaking of heads. Anyway, I had to go on to KDP and manually order every book that 11 people had ordered from me today, because it was going to happen. It would get to them like 2 weeks faster than if I tried to do it because I don't know about you guys, I like to autograph my books. I like to let my readers know, hey, thanks for taking your hard-earned cash and your time to read this book. I mean, I know how much time and effort I put in. But anyway, James, thanks. You were one of those that popped in with that. And Frida, are you available to come on? Or my dear Miss Wiley, my wonderful writer, can you pop on, or are you at work somewhere, hon?
No, so I actually have COVID, so pardon my voice, and that's why my camera is off.
That's
I don't
all
want to
right.
scare anybody with my COVID face. So, Halloween, we're still a few months out from that, so I thought I'd spare you guys. But yeah, so my thing is, I just finished a book I've been working on for 8 years, and it's about the mental challenges of working from home and the research behind it. There really wasn't a lot of research about the psychological impact of working from home. But of course, because of COVID, it kind of exploded. So I talk about that and how to overcome it, and how to protect also your physical health in a remote environment. So that's my thing.
Wonderful. And when do you think you're going to have that published, hon?
Well, so the galley is finished now. I'm redoing my cover for like the 15th time, which I should have done before, but it's post-release this summer. I know that the summer is not the best time to do a book launch, so I'll probably do a second launch in the fall.
I don't know about you, and the other authors that are here can chime in. When I first started publishing in 2005, I didn't even know about things called book launches. So I would just go to the local radio stations and I'd put my kids in a playpen next to the studio door. So if they screamed too loud, I could open it if we were on the air. But it was like one of those things. I was carrying my kids around with me, going from radio station to radio station. And then in these small towns, I would then go downstairs or down the street to a local independent bookshop, and I'd sell them, 5 or 6 of my copies. And it was so funny in those smaller towns in rural America, how many people would walk in that day having heard it on the radio, and they drove by the bookstore on the way home. And so that was happening in 2005. So nowadays people would be like, oh, that doesn't work. I'm like, well, it does for me. And so my book launches are constant. Like I'm always going, hey, we're doing this particular talk, money, it's not just for rich people. Well, that book was cranked out in 2005. I've written 5 books on money since then, but I'm still launching that book. Okay, does that make sense? So anyway, the rest of you can chime in as you want. And then Melody, for your live show, what sort of authors are you looking for so that I have a better idea on that?
All of my authors are nonfiction authors. So no fiction. And because my audience are also nonfiction authors, we talk about the book, we talk about the author journey, we talk about the lessons learned. That's kind of the point of view of the show. I hope that helps.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. And I also wanted to let you guys know, anyone who's interested, we're doing a summit September 14th and 15th, not this year, next year, 2023. I'm building people out on that now. And if you're interested in joining that summit, we'll have a landing page that will show up here next week or so. But feel free to email me and say, Janine, I want to be on the summit. And what we're doing is very similar to what Melody does with her live podcast. We're asking about the marketing journey that you took, because why would we want to talk about that? Nobody has the silver bullet. Okay. I don't care what people say or how they did it. When it comes to you and your book, nobody has the silver bullet for you. Thank you, Melody, for that confirmation. Appreciate the head nod, because I am now up to working on book number 12, and I'm still learning different tips and techniques, and I'm still quote, quote, wasting money on things that don't work. Hence why the 99 author project, because I thought, well, let me talk to other authors and see what they wasted money on. That way I make different mistakes. And that's the whole joke for the summit, is helping authors make different mistakes. So that's our goal and that. So anyway, what can I do to help you out? James, you popped on. Were you just wanting to come and have coffee with us, or was there something specific we can help you with?
Yeah, so I'm trying to, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, I think I dropped it in an email, but I registered for the 99 book project thing. But I did it with an email that is incorrect. So
no wonder my emails haven't been getting to you.
That's right. So I need to correct it. I put in a call to the support people, and not even really a call. It's just like I filled out the little form, and I haven't heard anything back. So, yeah, I need to correct my email address.
Okay.
If you could help me do that, that would be awesome.
I will be happy to, if you would be kind enough to just email, and all you have to do in the subject line is say, Janine, change my email, and then go down. And what I will do is I will send you a link that you'll have to re-sign into the course, but I'll send you a special link so you can get in for free, since you've already paid. There's no sense to make you pay twice. I don't see why we should do that. Okay.
That sounds fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's save you some money. And I'm sure that you sent the email and it came to me, but yesterday I got 228 emails.
Oh,
and
dear.
so I'm still digging through them. So I always am very transparent. I'll let people know it's probably there. I just haven't worked my way down yet. And I have 3 VAs like Kendra who help clear my email out, and we're just kind of getting inundated. So we've got to figure out some other system. If somebody has a really good way that they handle email, I am all ears.
Delete. Delete.
Yeah,
Just
but I don't want to
delete.
do James. I mean,
know.
you've got an issue here, right? These are
Yeah.
these are not emails that are like newsletters. These are people from these are emails from people. So
Yeah, I know.
so trying to take care of peeps.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
kind of a
we're
joke.
playing.
Janine
Yeah.
Mateo here. You could always put a legend at the bottom of the email how you want them to respond with the subject lines, and then get the subject lines on an Excel sheet and just categorize them like that in terms of priorities.
Why, thank you.
I'm sure you know
Teo.
that though.
No, I will be honest. No, that never occurred to me. So I'm sure that's incredibly simple to some minds. To mine, never even
Yeah.
dawned on me to do that. Thank you, sir. You're very kind.
I've done that before. Emails actually are like the one problem everybody has. Hundreds of emails a day, and if you just get the subject line right, you can categorize them very effectively, and then use the Pareto principle for it.
Okay. Yep.
Nina,
Subject lines, they matter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Go ahead, Melody.
Janine, I had a question about your book, if you don't mind. The
No, I don't.
99 authors. I remember when we first spoke about it, I put it out in my newsletter. And I did have somebody come back and say, well, I don't know. I'm not, that's for really successful authors. And I said, okay. And they just didn't feel successful enough. And yet I know this person has, a couple of books out, has experimented with marketing, has failed. And I think that's kind of in their way. So I want to put out another call on my newsletter again and in my community. And so would it be fair to say, we're going to answer 13 questions. This is for authors who have failed and succeeded at marketing because we want to learn the lessons.
Right. And if it will help, it wasn't until I was publishing book number 5 that I could even call myself an author. And so I understand how strong that they call it imposter syndrome now. We didn't have a fancy name for it. We just felt bad. We just like people would be like, oh, so are you an author? And you'd almost run away hiding, like, because you didn't feel, well, I'm not Stephen King. How can I call myself an author? Right.
Exactly.
I mean, a machine the way you write, right? Yeah. And so if you want to share something like that with your community in the top, will help them understand this is for everybody. I had one person he's written 26 books. And I went, oh my gosh. And his stories about how he launches and how he does it is very specific. You know how his list size is 900 people, but he has a 58% open rate. Yeah. He has a very, but he can't get on a lot of the podcasts and stuff because his list size is not to a level that people are looking for from an influencer.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
And so there's that whole mindset is what's causing a lot of our authors who I think are, the Shazam, to use that term, but it's just the awesome people. Like I would want to learn from a Mateo or a James or a Pete Kane, or I have learned a lot from Jeff, but he knows that. But it's like, I learned from these people because these are folks that are in the trenches doing the work. And so just when all of you
know failures, like it's okay to come on and talk about what doesn't work for you as much as it is for what does work. I'll just make sure to put out another call and add that in just so people are clear. Thanks for clarifying that.
No problem. And as a scientist, we were always discouraged when I worked in the pharmaceutical industry. We were always discouraged not to publish negative results. And that is something I found incredibly frustrating because I don't want to make the same mistakes as the other labs. I would like to be able to make new mistakes. Thank you very much. And so that's where my passion for that comes from. I've had that for a long time sitting in the back of my brain. Thank you for letting me. I'll get off my soapbox now. Go ahead, Pete. You wanted to say something?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Jeff?
Janine, I was just going to tell you, Cal Newport has a couple of really amazing books. And my favorite was Deep Work, but the other one is called A World Without Email. And he actually, I'm going to appeal to the scientist in you. He does deep studies on the impact on productivity of email. And so he actually shares a lot of strategies that you can use. And the number one thing, it's not how do you manage email, it's how do you minimize the email you have to manage. And so for Mateo, it said using different subject lines. If you use the Google email system, if you put, let's say your email is janine@bolon.com, you could put Janine plus and a word that would be the subject or something. It'll actually automatically filter them in your inbox. So you can create infinite email addresses that you use for specific things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you could have your assistant search for it. Let's say, it's Janine plus 99 authors at bolon.com. You could have your assistants go into the Google Drive, the Google folder, and they would see that, oh, these are the emails we need to manage.
Mm-hmm. I've been told that if you want to sign up for something to get something, but you never want to hear from them ever again, you put your email address plus spam at your provider, and it'll automatically, when they start sending out their automatic emails, it sends it to your spam folder every time.
And an app for that, Janine, it's called Sanebox, SANEBOX, and it's like $7 a month. But it'll take like all your newsletters, it'll put them in a newsletter folder. All your client emails, it'll put them in a client folder. So it's kind of a cool thing. And it has a black hole one. So if somebody keeps spamming you know, we've all seen that where you unsubscribe 50 times and you're like, I'm sure I unsubscribed. You now put it in this black hole and you never see it again.
So gravity does do its job. Thank you. Lovely. Wonderful.
Janine,
Mateo, go ahead.
Yeah, I had actually some insight on the my perspective on doing the 99 authors. If you guys remember that one artist from Great Britain who he did his 10 years worth of art in one piece of art, and then he sold an NFT on it for like 69 million from a guy in India. So he basically did a compilation of all the work he had done over 10 years as a 10-year anniversary, which was a really cool, very unique piece of art that he had compared to all the other pieces of art that he had. And then you see that in movies where they do prequels, or they do in radios, they've done for such a long, top 50, top 100. So this 99 authors reminds me of that thought process where you could do top 50 moments in podcasts, history of my show, or 99 authors, which is just a different perspective on the very same thing that you're doing. So it could definitely go somewhere.
Thank you. That is something awesome. Kendra, did you want to share anything before you take off?
No, just wanted to say it was wonderful meeting all of you. Have a wonderful day.
And definitely connect out with Kendra, because Michael Whitehouse was the one that sponsored or supported this idea, and she can help connect you with that master networker, because we have several on this call. Thank you, Kendra.
And
Take care.
I just passed my email into the chat.
Okay, thank you. That's awesome. We'll
All right.
definitely connect. All
Everyone
righty.
have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Go ahead, Pete. What's up?
Well, when you called on me, it spurred me with a thought. So your whatever mind helps to spread us out. So what I'm working with that could be helpful is when you launch a book, you definitely want to take people behind the scenes with all the thought process. And the short form video, which TikTok just happens to be the one today, could be different in 2 years, but you want to get good at short form video. So we're developing a strategy around, after, once you decide to write the book, let's don't be secretive about it. Let's get it out in the marketplace. And right now, there's not anything better than TikTok because of their algorithm and some other things. And my eyes were opened up when Perry Marshall did our mastermind webinar on TikTok for businesses. I really poo-pooed it because kids are on there, and let's just say it's owned by our competitor, the Chinese. So I wasn't open to looking at that platform, but it's really short form video.
Okay, thanks. And do you have a template or something that you know is successful when it comes to short form video? I mean, have you built something like that?
Well,
okay.
I always shorten my learning curve by purchasing, courses from the experts. So there's a lady by the name of Rachel Peterson, and then of course, Perry Marshall. So if anybody wants to know a little, it's a hook, your content, and then your call to action. So you got to be real precise about it, but there is a formula like there is in anything.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, Frida, is there anything else we can do for you? Bye, Mateo. I think he dropped off before I could.
No, I think I'm good, but thank
You
you.
good? Okay. Well, when you get closer to your launch, let us know. And I think you already know about the fact of, even though your book isn't totally out or published yet, you go ahead and you let people know. Start building your email list now. I figure you probably have already been doing that.
Yeah, I was on a pretty dedicated path before I got sick. I put the cover up on my website, or at least the mock cover. And I was also doing some LinkedIn posts. I was in the process of putting together some video content. And I hope that once I get my voice back completely, then I'll be able to pick up where I left off.
Sounds like a plan. And remember, my dear friend, and I only say this to you because I know you, and you and I have been together for, gosh, 7 years now. Just wanted to let you know 70% is good enough, because we have a tendency to operate at 100%. We want 100%. So our 70% is somebody else's 100%. Okay. So just make it 70% good and shove it out the door. All right.
Okay, I'm trying. Yeah, I mean, the cover is the part that's holding me up, to be honest, because I've read so many things where many people make decisions to buy books based on the cover alone. And I'm probably guilty of the same thing. So finding some of the correct images, that's kind of been a challenge, but yeah, I'll just have to push it out, and then I can always update it later with a second edition, or, with the next book. Like you said, there are always the lessons learned.
And there's always, like, I was chatting with an author the other day whose books have been out for over 15 years, and she just redesigned their covers and shoved them out again. Okay. Because the whole genre had changed in that 15 years. So you can get lost in the minutia, as any of us will be happy to share with you. Thanks for the nodding heads. But you can get lost in the minutia of that. And yes, it is true, people sometimes buy just because of the cover of the book, but realize the initial people that are going to buy from you are people who already know you. And then you use your social proof. You get pictures of them holding the book up on a Zoom call or something like that. Now, there have been several people who've held one of my books up, and I'm like, hold it, I need to take a screenshot. Why? Because I want to show people the cover of my book, and that other people have bought them. That will do you just as much good, and it's quicker and easier on your brain than you trying to become a mastermind marketing professional when you're a fabulous content writer, right? Just saying.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate
No
that.
problem. Hey, get better soon, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, especially with the COVID. Good morning, Kathy. Thanks for joining us from your lovely log cabin up in the wilds of Wisconsin. Not speaking today? Okay. You're on mute, sweet pea.
Well, there it is.
There you go.
I just got back from Nebraska late, and I happened to see it this morning. So I jumped on my phone. I'm like, oh, it's 9:30 that time.
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and pop on. So it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Kathy is from one of my groups, because I write in 4 different genres. Kathy is connected with me through the Mystics Mastermind because of the Divine series that I write on spirituality. And so she is a shaman, light worker, Reiki master, and non-traditional healer for those who traditional medicine has stopped being effective. So I highly recommend her. Anyway, so Mr. James, anything else we can help you with, my dear? Nope, he's going to walk off. See ya. Bye. That's why I tell people, I'm like, look, you don't have to hang here with us. You can drop off. I just left it open and highly informal. Okay, Jeff. So other than our man Carl and deep work and all that fabulous stuff, what else have you got for us, since you're our master networker? You and Pete, you guys are amazing.
Well, thank you. You flatter me because I hold you up as one of the people everybody should meet and connect with. So I feel like you are above us, and we're aspiring to be you. So thank you. I just wanted to share for Frida. One of the mistakes I've made, and I think a lot of authors make, is we retreat to our caves to perfect our book. And one of the things Pete and I have been playing with is rather than having a big launch, waiting till the book is done to launch, we're inviting people into the journey. And so one of the social media things we're doing is we're writing a book. And what we do is we ask people's feedback on, what do you think of this title? What would you expect from the book based on this title? What questions do you have about this topic? But if you get enough of a following while you're doing that, share your proposed book covers. And I'm going to share just as a side note, and then I'll talk about networking. Pete and I, we had a project where the graphic designer was going to design the perfect cover for Pete. And I kept saying, no, let's just do the quick cover. Jeff's design covers takes about 5 minutes. I designed them on Canva, and literally I stole this from the Ford Motor Company when they were advertising Model Ts. You can have any color you want as long as it's black. So all my covers are black. They have white font. They're very, very boring. But the key is they're the first edition. And the other thing is I put the author's picture on the cover on the front, because most people put it on the back. But people buy from people, and they're more likely to respond to a person on the front. So I always put my author on the front. But put up 3 cover designs that you like and let people give you that feedback and say, oh, I really like that one. But it's just part of the journey. And here's the secret. If they help you write your book by giving you feedback, guaranteed they're going to read your book when it's done. And
That's very true. That is so true. To piggyback on you, one of the things that I did for the last 3 books that I've written was I had beta readers come on, and I would pump out a chapter each time. And it was amazing to me how it tripled my book's initial launch numbers. Now, I'm not trying to become an Amazon bestseller. That's not something I am driven to. If you're trying to do that, then you have to have a whole different philosophy. And I recommend that you hire somebody to make that happen for you. But I never needed that for my work. So just realize that I'm not in that camp, and that you have to do things very, very differently if you're going to hit those sorts of numbers. So thank you, Jeff. I'm glad that I'm not the only one doing that. It's awesome. You and Pete, huh?
yeah, and I'll tell you the other thing. A lot of people out there's a lot of noise about becoming a best-selling author, and we're focusing on being best earning authors. And I actually have one. I'm not kidding. We are only ever going to print 1 copy of the book. We literally wrote it. We picked a company we want to work with, and we wrote it as a love letter to the company. And it's basically, think about it, it's a marketing proposal, and we're saying, here's what we would do to grow your business. So a typical book for us, if we get 12 copies out there, we're getting clients from it, therefore we're earning money. I don't care what the accolades out there are. People are like, oh, I want to be on Audible. Nope. With our books, literally our goal is we physically hand them to 12 people that we think would launch our business or help us grow. So it's all about picking the people that you network with, and obviously they get some benefit out of it. The other thing we do, which is more advanced, is with the podcast. Every quarter, so every episode of a podcast, we ask somebody for their 3 biggest tips and the 3 biggest mistakes they want people to avoid. So every quarter, we're going to publish a book that for every guest, we have 6 tips they can have. So if we have 12 episodes, we're publishing a book, 72 business tips from experts. So the podcast itself becomes the next book. And of course, everybody featured in the book is going to get a copy of it, signed and autographed, and they're going to want to share it with their people. Mm-hmm. So, sorry, that's a bit of an advanced strategy, but I think, Janine, and I know you do this, but when people are networking, usually they come at it from what's in it for me. And I do things very differently. I start with how can I add value to the person I'm talking to? And the easiest thing I can do is, for example, Melody with Author Nation, I can introduce her to my tribe and say, you guys need to listen to Melody. Well, if I do that, Melody's going to be like, Jeff, how can I help you? I don't know. We'll figure it out. But, start with what value can I give someone? Just a random example. I got Bob Berg, the author of The Go-Giver and Endless Referrals, to spend an hour with me, and it cost me, I found out who his assistant was. I asked her, what's his favorite charity? She told me it was this Furry Friends Adoption Center in Jupiter, Florida. I sent a $50 donation on his behalf. They reached out and said, hey, Bob, thank you for getting Jeff to donate. And he went, who the hell's Jeff? And next thing I know, Bob's on my podcast. So it cost me $50. I'm not proud of that, but you can get people to want to help you just by finding out what's important to them.
And that is something, and one of the things I have people ask me all the time is, Janine, are these recordings available? And the answer is yes. Since you have spent time with me, you will get them free. The link I've just put in there is to the Janine Bolon show. And one of the playlists that we're starting this week is going to be Open Coffee with Janine. And so that's where you can go back, and because I don't know about you, I use YouTube all the time. It is a huge search engine for me. And there are times where I'm like, oh, what was it that so-and-so said? I know we were 3/4 of the way through the hour, and I can scan so much faster on that video than I ever could through any other thing. And so we have a lot of good content that comes out of these things. And so I will be posting the video there. And that's why I have you guys come on and say, okay, to being recorded with that. Anyhow, so that will go up on YouTube, and then you will be notified every week once we have it posted. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to, but the content is there. And I just wanted to let you know about that. That is a new channel of ours. We had 15 YouTube channels, and so we're consolidating them all into one. That's what happens when you've been online since 1998, you're all over the place. My MySpace account, I'm sure it's still there somewhere. But what we're doing is we are putting all of our content on the Janine Bolon show in the different playlists, and it's going to take us a year to take all the content that we have everywhere and put it out there. So there will be one video a day that will drop. And so don't worry, we won't spam your email with all that. We're just, I'm just letting you know that it looks measly right now, but that's because I had to train 5 people to, and we were doing that this week, to build how to build out a YouTube channel so that you can get all your content on there. Like, I think it was, who was it that was talking about the compilation and art? Oh, that was Mateo, was talking about how the artist did that compilation. Well, after being online for over 25 years, I decided to start putting everything together in one place. Anyhow, anybody else have any tips for YouTube and what they've learned with YouTube and how they upload things and have subscribers?
I'll be glad to share. I have several channels, and I'll do a good interview and I think, man, that's good. And then a year later, it's got 15 views. And I'm going, well, maybe not as good as I thought. But I do know that YouTube is moving towards YouTube Shorts. So you create content and you put it on YouTube channel, which under Shorts, it's obviously short form video, but it allows you to get a whole lot more views than you would with a longer interview format. So
with the shorts, is that 30 seconds or is it 7 seconds like Vine? I used to have a Vine account until they left.
I think they give you, I don't know everything, but it's on my channel now, but I think it's a minute.
A minute?
But
Okay.
We start with TikTok and then we move it 3. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Because I know Facebook started doing that as well. Everything's moving to the short form. Go ahead, Kathy.
There's this comedian that came across my path, and he's of course from Wisconsin, and now he's famous. And he has these shorts, and they're anywhere from one minute to 15 minutes. So just depends on what information you're trying to get across.
Okay, cool. So any other advice people have for how to market your business or market yourself, things that you ran across that were very helpful? Go ahead, Melody.
Well, talking about YouTube, I would say have a strategy, right? Really know what you're doing. Like, are you going to be focusing on YouTube search engine optimization? Because YouTube's one of the largest search engines. And if you're going to do that, get TubeBuddy or an equivalent and really understand, especially as you're like moving everything over, you guys can redo all the SEO, rename the videos, things that are really searchable or findable, and just get more subscribers through that, right? The other thing now is you can go to your YouTube video and you can chop a piece of it and then put that over on Facebook or put that over somewhere else. And that's really useful. And then that'll link back. And so there's two little tips that I think might be useful.
Thank you. I always appreciate the amount of wisdom that's in a room. Every time I get on these Zoom calls, I don't care whose networking group it is or whatever. It's like, man, I hope somebody's recording this because these people have really good ideas and I want to try out 3 of them. You know? So what about you, Mr. Gomez? Anything you care to share, my friend?
Yeah, so this is interesting because the book I'm writing right now is on artificial intelligence. So I'm studying all of these methodologies and these algorithms and these different things. And what people may or may not realize is that everything that you do online is tied to some type of AI bot. And so really, I think running into a little bit about something that Melody said is critical and important. You know, when you have hashtags in different things, those should carry over into whatever the platform is. So let's just say you have some things on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. If there's a particular topic and it's, as an example, I was in a room this morning on Clubhouse, and there's a guy that he does a room. He does it. It's called 413, and it's done at 4:13 a.m. He's crazy. But it's Pacific time, so I get a little bit of an hour of a sleep in. But the fact is that at the end of his meeting, what he does is he asks everybody what's the one word that they want to leave with, their final word. And so in theory, when you start putting together these little snippets and these little things, if you put that one word, whatever that one word is, say it multiple times and wherever it is in that content, repeat it and move it over into different places, that AI bot is going to pick it up. And if it happens to be the hot word for the day, it will escalate to the top of the algorithms. So that's how the algorithms works, because it's all artificial intelligence. So they find out what's trending, what's hot. Remember when the days are when you figure out what's hot and what's new on, different search engines and things. So that's what's going on behind the scenes. And then the other thing that I'll tell you, and most people don't know this, is that Google and YouTube, they are not search engines. They are artificial intelligence programs. That's exactly what they are. They are not search engines. So what you have to do is that if you want to optimize them to the best of your ability, you need to figure out what it is that's good, that ties into whatever it is that you're doing, and then tag those things into your content. And that will escalate it up to the top and make it go viral. That's what everybody wants. I'm done.
You're far from done, because there's a few requests for you to, they want to connect you with a few folks that are into the drone industry. So you and Pete can get together. Mia, it's so good to see you. Good morning. How are you? You're on mute if you want to unmute and say hello.
Good morning, Janine.
Good morning, my dear. It's so lovely. Kathy's on too.
I think I have came too late. Do we have a time difference? I'm in California.
Yes, 1 hour time difference. And so that's it. But Kathy is also here. She was working in the kitchen during the Sundance ceremony.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I want to
so
see your pretty
Kathy's on.
face. Let me see your pretty face.
Oh my God, Kathy, it's you. I'm gonna put my, hi, honey.
There you are. Thank
There
you.
you are.
I'm
Nice to
so
see you,
glad
Maria.
you're here, Kathy and Janine. It's so good to
No.
see all of you. So
Mhm.
I missed it today, but next time I'll try to jump in the right time.
It's
I just
okay.
jumped on
It's
too.
easy.
You're fine. Whenever you come in is perfect.
Okay, so that's what the thing about the open coffee. Come when you can, leave when you have to. That's kind of the
Kathy, I'm
thing.
just beyond happy to see you, and you saved me at the Sundance. Giving me all
We'll
those
connect
wonderful
later. This
things.
is, but
Yes,
thank you.
yes,
It's very
yes.
sweet.
Yes,
Yeah.
Janine, and thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be
Oh,
here.
no, it's wonderful. So because of one of the challenges I know a lot of folks have, not only as business owners, but also as authors, is that you're a multidimensional person. And AI and marketing is constantly driving you into this. And so that's why I'm so happy that Mia and Kathy showed up today, because they're a part of my world very much. It's the spiritual part of the world. I was struck by lightning when I was in middle school. And then I've worked with 16 different Native American tribes. I've written a trilogy on those experiences. And so I'm still being asked as a healer to some of those tribes. They call me a Heyoka or a sacred clown. I'm being asked to go to those ceremonies. And yet I also work in this world, which is all about tech and AI and how you go about marketing and that sort of thing. And so it's one of those things that it's like kind of disconcerting how you can feel like you are chopped up into little bits and that you can only show certain bits like a diamond, almost like you're highly faceted. And so I'd like to encourage you guys as authors and business owners and entrepreneurs to keep yourself as whole as possible. And don't be afraid to bring your divergent demographics together. I know that it can feel a little bit like family Thanksgiving dinner for those in North America. But Uncle Henry doesn't get along with Aunt Sally. We all know this. Keep them at separate ends of the table. I know that there's that fear, but they were all attracted to your message in some way, shape, or form. And therefore, they need to know about your other areas. I got a $30,000 contract based on a comment that I said, and I happened to mention my Native American connections. The next thing I know, I got this $30,000 contract because the guy said, we're looking for somebody who can handle diverse communities. And Janine, you definitely have that. And so I was just like, oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And so that's one of the things that is helpful when people realize that as an entrepreneur, you actually do have the ability to talk to people of all different types and kinds. Realize that's unusual. People don't see that as often. Okay. And so I just wanted to, I'll step down off my soapbox again. I have a tendency to get on it a little too much. when I see what happens to really good people when they're being so forced into an algorithm and then they feel trapped by it. So anyhow, so anything else we need to talk about today for people? Anything we can help you with? We got a lot of wisdom sitting here in this room. Mr. James?
Yeah, you just mentioned another topic that I'm pretty passionate about, and it's the idea of where the world is going. So one of the things I do is I specialize in looking at things from a futuristic standpoint, where it comes into technology. And there's this concept that's out there, and this is actually the book that I'm working on 2 books to finish by the end of the year. The next book that I'm writing is on robotics and IoT and smart cities. And many people don't know this, but essentially there are cities all over the world that are being built where they have the lights, everything is kind of plugged into a Wi-Fi grid. And they'll be able to understand everything about your doing, your behavior patterns, all of those things. And so you as a person will be a data element, and they'll use that to look at other behavioral patterns and plan accordingly. So that's something that's coming. I wish I could say more about it, but I just wanted to pass that out there because I think that what you said about AI and all these things and how it's going to change. Oh yes, it is changing, and it's changing. There's a thing out there, and I'm actually doing some talks on it, by the way. It's called Surviving the Fourth Industrial Revolution, because that is the big thing that people don't know about. There is this thing, it's called the Fourth Industrial Revolution, that is bigger than the internet. And we saw what happened when the internet came out. Amazon took over and Kmart and Sears went away. So this same kind of disinformation or disintermediation is going to happen across many industries, and things are going to change because of artificial intelligence and all of those things. So my exhortation to people is that many jobs, many things that we do normally are all going to be automated because of AI, and it's only a matter of time. They actually already have it all planned and mapped out. So that's just something I wanted to say. Not necessarily, I think for us as content creators and people that are creating content and writing things, it's just going to be a beautiful thing, because we'll be able to just have, once our content is that hot content, it can go viral, and you can be working with people all over the world, which is actually some of the things that are happening to what I'm doing right now.
Well, and I remember, oh gosh, this is going to totally date me, of course, but I remember back in the 80s where they had that beautiful book called Future Shock. And I remember it had that lemon yellow cover, and it had the very 70s print, 70s motif on it. And they called it Future Shock. And they said, all humanity needs to do is remember high tech, high touch. And that, I know that that's a byline, and I know it's been overused, high tech, high touch. But what it means for me as an individual is that I totally embraced technology. I just absolutely loved it and used it in every area of my life that would make my life better. But there was a lot of technology I dropped by the wayside because it wasn't making my life better. It was stressing me out. And so if you're living an abundant life, if you're living in a conscious way, and I think that's the key, if you're living in a conscious way, then you're going to be able to differentiate for yourself what is causing me more stress. And I'm not talking about the learning curve. There's always a learning curve with certain types of technologies. But once you have learned it, is it really making your life better? And just taking that 15 seconds to decide if this really is something that is better for you. Then let's talk about high touch. High touch is these Zoom rooms, and then following up with people and letting them know that you see them as individuals, not just little flat faces on a screen, that you really do care, that they stay in business. And that's one of the things that I love about the people I seem to attract on this open coffee, is that every single one of you, I want to see you on here over and over again, because you're still in business. You're still making money. As Jeff reminds us, you know, we're not best-selling authors, we're best earning authors. We want to be authors that are earning money. By the way, thank you. Totally going to steal that.
You can't steal what's been given freely.
Right.
That's good.
Thank you, dear. Yeah, Michael Whitehouse was the same way. Take my idea and run with it, Janine, no problem.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is I really want to make sure that everybody stays in business, because you're able to earn the money that you need so that you can take care of yourself and your family. Whether that family is a four-legged cat that you live alone with, or, you know, you have multiple people like myself. I've got 4 other beings that share my space with me. So whatever helps you. Anything else that we can help people with? Is there a challenge that you have or something like that? We got a couple minutes before I sign off today. And the silence reigned and nobody got wet. Can't help it. My grandma comes in every once in a while. Okay, well, I believe in your time, and I want you to be able to use it efficiently and effectively. We're doing this almost every Friday till the end of the year. And if it is something that's helpful and successful, then we'll continue it on. But we're running it for a trial period. If there's anything that you can recommend that we do that will help bring you more added value for the time you spend with us, please let me know. Okay, but otherwise, go make lots of money, save the world in your little corner. Okay. Talk to you. Bye.